Well, hi. Today is Thursday, December 19th, 2024. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. Thank you so much for waking up and being a part of today's show, or if you're watching later in the evening, thanks for wrapping up your day with Morning Coffee. We'll just call it Evening Cocktail. How about that? Can we kind of shift the name depending on what time of day you're listening? I can see the numbers when folks are actually watching the show, and we get a large group right away in the morning, a few trickle in throughout the day, and then another large group in the evening. So whenever it is that you happen to be watching, thank you so much. I had an opportunity to talk with some folks yesterday about the possibility of them doing a podcast, and we talked about some of the pros and cons and some of the different reasons why they may want to do one and some of the benefits of doing it. So I thought I'd talk about that today. And also, I have an interview coming up with Dan Olsen. We've had Dan on different podcasts that I have done. He was on Campfire Conversations a few months ago. Well, Dan and his band Sack of Lions are going to be playing at Maloney's on the 100 block on Saturday. Saw them do their Christmas show last year at Maloney's. It was a ton of fun, and they're going to be doing it again. Pony Creek will also be their phenomenal band. They're a local band, and these guys are really, really good. So I'm planning on being there, and I hope you will too. If you just follow Maloney's on social media or go to their website, you can pick up tickets, and you can either get them online or you can get them at the door. AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning and Waldstein Plumbing, a proud supporter of everything we do here at Morning Coffee. Travis, Hayden, and the rest of the AirServe and Waldstein Plumbing team, they are the ones that I say all the time, and I mean it. When integrity matters, these are the folks that you want to get a hold of. So if you've got plumbing needs, if you've got HVAC needs, give them a call and set up a meeting and find out just how much AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning and Waldstein Plumbing can do for you. Also, Prairie and Pine Real Estate Group, Keller Williams of Greater Omaha, has offices in Council Bluffs and also offices in Omaha and in Lincoln. That means they have a very, very clear understanding of everything that's going on, very widespread in our market, because they have to. They are doing business all across the board in this region. So if you go to prairieandpinerealestategroup.com, you can see some of the homes that they have for sale right now of folks that they are representing, and also what they can do for you. So get a hold of Mackenzie and set up a meeting and sit down. And I think you're going to find out really quickly that she's incredibly knowledgeable and also just a lot of fun to talk to. And her entire team is. So that's prairieandpinerealestategroup.com is the website. They are with Keller Williams of Greater Omaha. Well, I'll tell you what, let's begin by talking about podcasting. And I know that I've talked about it several times on this show. Why? Because this is a podcast, if you think about it. I know I treat this more like just a regular show, but it's released online. We're out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube currently. More platforms coming very, very soon. And as I mentioned, I was talking with some folks yesterday about the reasons why podcasting is it can work and why it can be valuable for your business, whether you are hosting your own podcast or you're just appearing on someone else's podcast. You know, we have sponsors and we have different guests on this one. There's a lot of value to that, and you can see them following you. Last week when I went up to Walnut, that particular episode, looking at the numbers, it did very, very well because there was a lot of interest in that. And that's one of the main reasons that podcasting is so effective over traditional media, because you get a very highly targeted audience. You know, you can really zero in on who it is that you want to talk to, and the internet's going to do its thing, and it's going to push it out to the right people, especially if you are combining podcasting with video shorts and reels and that type of thing. That's going to draw people into that podcast, and it will find the folks that just naturally want to know more about what it is that you want to talk about. It's why you get such a highly engaged and passionate audience when it comes to podcasts. You know, with a traditional broadcast, whether it be radio or television, typically what you're looking at is it's what we call appointment listening in the industry, that you need to be listening at a specific time when that specific person happens to be there. And you can't always do that. But with podcast, there's nothing specific about it. You know, we release this show at 6 a.m. every morning. Doesn't mean that you have to be up at 6 a.m. to hear it. You can listen to it anytime. Podcast can be about anything that you want it to be about. But when it comes to a business podcast, like entrepreneurship, there's several that we produce here. This has a very entrepreneur feel to it. We can target small business owners, startup founders, maybe just an aspiring entrepreneur. These are the folks that you want listening to what it is that you're doing. And as we mentioned, it's also very on demand and it's convenient whenever it works for you. When I'm traveling, I'll put a podcast on and that's what I'm listening to, as opposed to a radio station that fades in and out. Some fade in and out a lot quicker than others, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So, and listeners can tune in to your podcast. You can go into the middle of the episode, pick up right where they left off. They can just pause it very, very easy. Try that on a radio station. The radio doesn't have a pause button, but podcast is a much better way if to be able to reach those types of peoples. Podcasting is a lot more intimate and you can get much more personal connection. Just the audio format, there's more of a conversational tone. Listen to the radio and listen to, we called this in the industry puking into the microphone. It's more of the Sunday kind of thing, with the really big booming voice. And you hear people on the air all the time now that it doesn't sound conversational. By the way, somebody had mentioned to me once, thinking that I was talking in my radio voice. This is just my voice. This is how I have conversations. So and you can hear that it sounds forced. It sounds canned. I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain, especially when it comes to the radio industry, because I spent so much time in radio. Do you know why you hear so much similar things on different radio stations and they all seem to be talking about the same thing, even though you wouldn't think that they would have any connection? There's something called prep services. And what that is are companies that send content out to radio stations that morning show hosts or anybody can then use in order to be able to talk about. Personally, I think that's where Today in History came from. I also think that's where, whatever day it happens to be. Hey, today's National Peanut Butter Cookie Day, and some, radio jock is going all overboard about that. I find that very lazy, that type of thing. I don't know where these days came from, but I'm pretty sure it was developed by the radio morning show people so they would have content to talk about every day. Podcasting, you're going to get a much deeper conversation, and especially when you've got a couple of people such as the interview coming up very shortly here with Dan Olsen of Sack of Lions. Every time Dan and I talk, it always seems to just morph into stoicism and talking about the Stoics from 2,000 years ago happened again. You're going to find that out here in just a little bit in that conversation. Podcasting, a lot more cost effective and accessible. Call a radio station and talk about, advertising on their station and find out how much they think that it's worth. Yeah, it's really, really expensive for what it is that you get. And plus, you're just hoping that maybe somebody's listening to it. And yeah, there's ratings that come out from Nielsen, but how accurate are those? Who knows? With what we do with podcasting, you can track just how many views, how many listens that you've had. With just the audio podcast with the platform that I use, we can track the analytics all the way down to where someone's listening from, what kind of device are they listening on, and how long are they listening. We can track all of that. You cannot do that with traditional media. And it's just yet another example of what podcasting can do for you and just how effective it can be. And also there's a lot longer engagement because, and listener loyalty. I talk about Joe Rogan a lot because he's kind of the gold standard of everything. And he's at the top of the heap, and people can have a goal of being able to hit there. And I think goals are a wonderful thing, but don't plan on it, because even Joe Rogan would say that he never planned on hitting the level of popularity that he did. But he also proved something, because nobody thought that you could have a conversation for that long and that people would listen to it in that long format. He has podcasts that go over 3 hours and people stick with it and they listen. Now, Rogan is incredibly good at keeping conversations engaging for that long. This is a skill that is not very common. It's not something that I could do. I mean, I can have a conversation for 30 to 45 minutes and sometimes a little bit longer if it's a topic that I'm really interested in. But after that, I just run out of questions. But when you listen to Rogan or you listen to some of those other especially the comedians seem to be very, very good at that. Theo Vaughn, have you listened to his? He lays everything out there, and it sounds incredibly conversational. And also, he gets some really big guests on there. So that's just giving Theo Vaughn a free plug. But there is a podcast for everyone. So whatever it is that you think that you might be interested in, you can find that topic. The focus of this podcast and what we do here at Morning Coffee is we talk about things that would affect people in other areas, but it's the things that affect us right here locally. It's designed for Council Bluffs and the surrounding area. You know, people that may find us in Idaho probably aren't going to stick around a long time because it's not for them. It's not designed for them. It's designed for you, the Council Bluffs resident, and all around Southwest Iowa, because these are the types of things that affect you. And so that's why I'm a big believer in podcasting. That's why I got out of radio and decided that, you know what, I just need to focus on this. A little over a year ago, and I've talked about it before, I let somebody come in and talk me out of my dream. I had a dream and of doing this professionally and helping others to be able to do it as well. And I let somebody come in and talk me out of it. And a lot of the conversations that we had that were used to talk me out of it turned out to not be true. And that's fine. I just mentioned recently, which it's a little catchphrase. It should be on a bumper sticker somewhere that really sunk home with me, is just because you walk through the wrong door does not mean you need to stay in the wrong room. And that's where I was at. I was in the wrong room and I was around the wrong people. And now I'm back around the right people again. I have some wonderful friends in Council Bluffs and around Pottawatomie County and in Southwest Iowa, business friends, also, just people in other industries. And these are the folks that I really want to zero in on and grow those relationships. And that's what's been happening. I'm unbelievably grateful for all of the support that I've received since making the decision to right the ship a year ago. And it's been humbling at times. So I'm very, very grateful for all of you that have reached out to me and that reached out at the time and have reached out again throughout the course of the last year. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Well, as we mentioned, there's a show coming up at Maloney's this Saturday, and among them, you'll be able to see Sack of Lions back on the stage, and Mr. Dan Olsen is joining us this morning. Thank you so much, sir. It's going to be great to see you back in concert again. It's been, I don't think I've seen you play since you did this show last year.
Yeah, so you haven't seen us in, 363 days, buddy. Thanks a lot. Some friend you are, Todd.
It's always a great show, and I think that I really like the atmosphere at Maloney's. It's small, but the sound is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really sounds good in there.
Yeah, no, it's we always look forward to this. I think this is our third or fourth year doing this, the little Christmas extravaganza with our good friends Pony Creek. So it's great because we play out of town a lot, especially me, tour a lot. But to be able, because I live seriously 3 minutes from there, I can see Maloney's out my window up here. So to be able to play back in Council Bluffs where I live at, and people are back for the holidays, so it's usually a good time of a lot of good people drinking a lot of booze. So it'll be a good time. Make sure you don't drive, guys, because it's going to be a wild one.
Is there a difference for you playing a hometown show versus when you're out in a different area where you don't live or maybe you're not as familiar with? Is there a different approach, or does it feel the same?
Well, I love it. I love it because I get it, everybody that you see there, and you have a relationship with, and it's just awesome to play these songs and you're home. But one thing I always joke about is my stories I tell on stage in other cities. Everybody here knows the truth of them, so I can't really tell my stories about, the stuff awesome that I say when when you're far away from home. So like, I usually have kind of like these set things I say between each song and kind of introduce them like, well, those are all out because you guys all know the truth to these songs. I can't stretch the truth of people that know me really well. But no, it's honestly my favorite shows, especially, with Pony Creek, because like Ryan from Pony Creek has, been one of my best friends for, 2 decades. So to get together to play with those guys, it's always fun. And especially, right down the street, it's one of the shows we always look forward to every year.
What's I know that tickets are available online and also at the door, but
Yeah.
it's this is the type of thing that I really enjoy getting out, because as you said, we're going to see a lot of people that we already know,
Mhm. Yeah.
but at the same time, it's just I see this becoming. I hope that you're going to continue doing this, because I
Oh
see
yeah.
it's kind of like my kickoff to Christmas.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
go see Dan and go see, because Pony Creek played last year,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're phenomenal. They're
Yeah.
just really good band.
Yeah, they're great. I've actually just, I guess it's been a couple months ago, I went and they got some new music coming out. I went over and played some piano on some of their new songs, which would be really cool. But no, it's like with those guys, like we've played so many shows. I mean, Ryan's subbed in and played guitar in Sac Alliance multiple times. I mean, he's played like auxiliary percussion with me a few times when I'm doing solo. Like he doesn't even play drums, but he'll sit on a cajon and shake cat toys, is what we call them. And so no, me and Ryan are very tight. So whenever we get to do this, and it's always great to, like I said, I do a lot of solo stuff, but to be on stage with the guys, Dave and Dylan and Phil, like the whole band, and in your hometown, it's so awesome. And like you said, if you come, you're gonna run into people So it's the holidays. It's honestly gonna be such an awesome night.
And there's also you're going to have some high energy stuff. You got
Oh yeah.
some stuff that dials it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything new coming out? Is there things
Yeah.
that we're going to hear that maybe haven't heard before?
Maybe we got rehearsal tonight, so you may hear something new out of us, but no, I got a lot of stuff. I think the last time we talked, I've been doing a ton of demo stuff that will be coming out next year. Stuff that I'm really excited about. A lot more like piano driven stuff that I'm moving more to that. I just play piano so much now that some of these songs are really cool. But yeah, it'll be a mix of, like the old songs that people know, and, fast stuff that you can dance to, and then some super sad stuff that you can break your heart to. What Nothing says Christmas like heartbreak, right?
Well, and plus, every time I see you and hear you play or hear your music, I have a hard time figuring out exactly what category to put you into. I mean,
Good.
yeah, there's some of it has a country feel, some
Yeah.
of it has a blues feel, some
Well,
of it
thanks.
is. I mean, there's so many different genres that of stuff that it is that you do, but yet there's a theme, there's a
Yeah.
commonality through it all, and that's what just impresses me so much about you and about Sack of Lions is I think you found your own lane.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I always wanted to do in the beginning, is like when people ask you who like your biggest influences are, like the only stuff I really listen to is like 50s, 60s soul music. Like Sam Cooke is hanging on my wall. Like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, like all that stuff. That's my like bread and butter of music. But I never wanted to be like in a single genre. I never wanted to just be like a country singer or a Americana guy. Like, I mean, some of this new stuff is going to sound more like Queen and Elton John than it does Garth Brooks. So, and I think that you kind of paint yourself into a corner too. If you're like, well, I can only write these kind of songs, and they can only be like these chords, and they can only be this tempo, like, that you're not doing a service to your music or to yourself or anything like that. So, yeah, I like to keep it mixed up. And, I remember like people would just like say like, oh my God, this album sounds like Tom Petty. And I'm like, awesome. Or like, this sounds like so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take any of those. So no, I appreciate that. That's one of the biggest compliments I can get, is that we're kind of try to not kind of be genreless, you know?
And there are some artists out there that are doing that, and typically they don't get a lot of radio play. The first one that
Right.
jumps into my mind is Lucas Nelson.
Oh yeah.
Because there's some things that are very traditional country that, I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
50s sound country that he does, for his dad, Willie, that he's on stage with still. But other things are, my exposure to him was he did a cover of After Midnight.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
it was one of the coolest things that I ever heard. And I think that when you get somebody that maybe their original lane was country, but they have expanded everything that it is that they do, I get so much enjoyment out of that. And it fulfills a lot of places in me when I'm watching a show, as opposed to just one specific genre.
For sure. Yeah. And with that is like, people get so stuck into like, well, this song did really well for us. And then the people just try to write that same song again. And that's when you just get into like, I've, many times as we've talked, like I've never ever been about like the money of this business. I'm all about the experiences and I'd rather go broke doing this than, do something else. But people get so trapped in that they attach a monetary value to the art that you're making. And that's when you get really terrible art, is that, and that's I think that's why you find so many like one hit wonders. Obviously, like there's that, the universe, somehow this thing comes through you and it's this beautiful song, but they got that big check off that song. So like, well, I'm just going to write that song again. And they keep doing that over and over again. And then they're out of the business. But I think especially now that everything is so accessible that you can put out a single every day if you wanted to. And you just got to, but that's why you have to keep evolving, because it gets so stale so fast. Like you used to be able to, tour for a year and then put out one album, then tour 2 years off of that. Now people are putting out singles like every month. And then you got people like Zach Bryan and Morgan Wallen that put out albums with, 40 songs on it all at the same time. And it's crazy. But, and not saying that those are bad artists or anything like that. I respect the hell out of, guys like that. But it's just, music is so accessible, and we're in such a world that with such a short attention span that you just have to, it doesn't even matter if it's your best song anymore. They just pump it out, pump it out, pump it out. And if one of them takes, great. It's just, throwing a wide net, as opposed to like what I do, like all my stuff really, I'm not saying that it doesn't mean anything to them, but like everything that I write is super meaningful and super like a part of me that I couldn't ever consider just putting out a ton of music just to put it out.
No, you and I have spoken many times, and it's something that I think about every time is I can't think of anything that I respect more about you than the fact that it's not money driven, and the fact that you have found so much life satisfaction out of what it is that you're doing. And of course, everybody needs money, and everybody, we all want more. I mean, that's how it is. But you are living your best and fullest life right now.
For sure.
You're not wasting the years because, I'm not, I don't have a song in the top 10 on, the country radio station or whatever it is. And I love that. And I think it's inspirational for a lot of people.
Thanks. Yeah. Like, and that's kind of what I've always kind of preached too, is like, I read this book a long time ago. My buddy, Jerry McComb, who's one of the hardest working guys in the music business. He's told me to read this book, The Shortness of Life by Seneca. And we talked about stoicism before and stuff like that. And I've bought this book for so many people. It's one of the best books you'll ever read. And it's written 2,000 years ago. And it's just about how short life is. And like, imagine that you died today and you've lived this life up until today. And that's been an amazing life. Okay. Imagine you died today. Now you have the rest of why you're still here to really live. And I read that probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, totally changed my whole perspective. I'm like, I've done all this stuff. Now I'm just going to I say yes to everything. Like if someone said, like if Jeremy's like, hey, we're going to go do this. I'm like, sure. Yeah. We'll figure out the money. Like the first few times we went to tour Europe, like we lost money, but I got so many amazing experiences, met so many people. I mean, checked off bucket list stuff of like playing the Cavern Club, playing UK festivals. And yeah, it was never about the money, but like those experiences are like worth millions and millions of dollars. And then, but it's with anything, we paid our dues and now we go back there and we make money and, we growing and growing and growing. But yeah, I mean, I think people attach too much to money. Like I love money too. I love buying stupid stuff all the time. but you can't live your life for that. And, money does make life easier, but like, I'd rather have this long list of amazing experiences than have a ton of money whenever I'm on my deathbed, because I can't take it with me. But this is a really good dating profile, like saying like, hey, don't worry about money because I don't have any. I do have some money, ladies.
Oh my, that is just awesome. But you're right, and it's turned into a cliche, but cliches are
Right.
there's a reason they are cliches is because there's a lot of truth in them.
For
And
sure.
if you spend your time collecting money instead of or collecting memories instead of things,
Yeah, for sure.
you're going to come out ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
And and sometimes things do. That's where the memory is at, but
Right.
I want to see things. I want to
For
go
sure.
and experience different things in different parts of the world and different parts of the country and places I haven't been before.
Yeah.
I'm hoping later on this spring that I will be able to effectively describe what it smells like at Capitol Reef National Park in Utah.
There
That's
you go.
that's my goal because I
Heck
don't
yeah.
know. So
Exactly. And
these are the
that's the
things
thing.
that are matter to me.
That's the thing too. Is like, we talk about like money coming and going, but like I can still, like, my fingers have like touched like Roman walls that were built in like 4 AD. Like, I've sat inside of a minster in York, England, that took 600 years to build. Like, and like felt the stones that was laid. Like, those touches and those smells and those experiences, like, are something that I'll carry with me until like my last breath. And that's worth way more than anything that I could be paid for.
It amazes me how every time we sit down and talk, this is where we just naturally gravitate here.
Right, exactly. Hey, it's positivity, man. I wish more people lived their life like that. I know so many people that are just so concerned with I mean, if you turn on like social media, like, people like are living their life for politics now. It's crazy. Like, oh my God, it's so, like, if you look outside and see like a beautiful blue sky and green grass, or like, now with when it starts to snow, like how beautiful life can be. And like, I always go back to this meme of like a guy on his deathbed and like, do you have anything that you wish you would have done? And he said, I wish I would have spent more time arguing with strangers online.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But I do like messing with people about it too. I love trolling people about like their like politics. Like, start talking about stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's crazy. Like, how divided people get over politics, which I never ever talk about politics in interviews, but like stuff like that is just, it's crazy. I mean, there's so much beautiful stuff out there, and so many relationships you can find, and so many cool people, interesting people that you could be engaging with, instead of, wasting your time on politicians who don't give a damn about what your life is like. It's crazy.
Well, we're not going to have this conversation
No.
Saturday night. No,
Yeah.
we're gonna
No.
we're gonna sit and we're gonna listen to some music, or
Yeah.
stand, listen to some music, have a great time at Maloney's on the 100 block in downtown
Yep.
Council Bluffs. What time's the show get started? Do you know?
Pony Creek starts at 8 o'clock. So, yeah, get down there early, grab a table, grab some drinks. We'll be down there probably at like 6 or so anyway. We'll finish up sound check and just be hanging out, having drinks, chatting with people. It'll be a really, really fun night. Plus, it's the 100 block. I mean, show starts at 8. I mean, we'll probably be done by like 10:30, 11. There's so many great bars down that strip as well. So, I mean, if you're out having dinner down at Barley's or something like that, stop on down. If you're just out, want to come hear a few songs, you don't have to stay all night. Come on in, say hi, and it'll be a great time. And we'll really kick off this Christmas season with some Budweisers and some Jim Beams, right?
That's perfect. That's the way to go. All right, Dan Olsen, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. And
Yeah, can't wait to see you, brother.
Foxco Fabrication can help you out with some of your marketing needs when it comes to different items. Here, let me reach back and grab this again. I haven't shown this cup for a while. It sits back here all the time. But this is what Rick at Foxco Fabrication made for me. You can see this microphone is just really, really cool. It's an old school microphone, but and it's, by the way, that's not my signature. But anyway, I just love this cup. It holds a ton of coffee, and I took this with me to the Council Bluffs Business Connection meeting last week. By the way, I'm going to be heading over there very, very soon again, and I was in there for an hour and a half. By the end of the meeting, the coffee was still too hot to drink. I mean, that's how well these cups work. You can buy these and get them personalized. A lot of other mugs. You can get signs made. Go to foxcofab.com. If you have any welding needs, Rick's your man. He can take care of it. He can even build giant Christmas trees that sit on top of awnings out on Broadway. Yeah, you've seen it at GT Motors. That was Rick's project that Garrett commissioned him to be able to do. So, and also if you have a truck that you want turned into a flatbed, they can handle that too for you at Foxco Fabrication. The Mile Away is having their $5 burger and fry night tonight. A half-pound burger with fries or tots for only $5. A deal that just can't be found at any type of drive-through anywhere. Go through some of these fast food places and see what you'll pay for a burger and fries. It's more than $5. And what you're going to get at the Mile Away is going to be a lot bigger. And in my opinion, it's going to be a lot better. So Mile Away, located on Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs. And don't forget, they got a comedy show coming up. So go to themileaway.com and you can pick up your tickets in advance. That's going to wrap things up on this Thursday. As I mentioned, I got to bug out of the studio and head over to the Council Bluffs Business Connection meeting. And I'll tell you there's a surprise coming up. I'll tell you about that later, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. So but what a great group of people. I've mentioned to you before, if you have a business and you would like to visit the Council Bluffs Business Connection, they meet at the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce office. They have a meeting room there. That's where they get together. So if you would like to just visit and see what it's all about, get a hold of me and we'll schedule a time. Send me an email, toddstuder@gmail.com. And then after that, if you decide that membership is going to be right for you and the group feels that your membership is right for them, and then we will get you a hold of Blake Hunter. He's the president, also with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. So they can really help you with your business. I know it's been huge for me. So that's where I'm headed here in just a little bit. And a big thank you to everyone involved with that. This is going to be our last meeting of the year. And then we won't meet again until after the new year. But anyway, thank you to all of them. And thank you to you for watching this episode of Morning Coffee. My name's Todd Studer. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.